An episode of This One Time in Kankakee from the WVLI Podcast Network will start right after this. Listen to all of today's local news in one place.
Checking your WVLI news, I'm Rob West.
The WVLI News Update brings you the day's news in 10 minutes or less. Clear, credible, and on your schedule. Follow now wherever you get your podcasts or at WVLI927.com and click on air. It's all part of the new WVLI Podcast Network. The voices you trust beyond the dial.
This one time in Kankakee, I planned a flash mob on the courthouse lawn.
What are you doing? Yeah, okay. You don't want to see me dance.
Welcome to This One Time in Kankakee on the WVLI Podcast Network. I'm Jake Lamore. Usually when a man is seen hiding in the bushes outside the Kankakee County Courthouse, sneaking around the back entrance on Merchant Street, and getting warned by bailiffs, it's because he's in trouble. But Jeff Cross? He was trying to break into a choreographed dance routine, that is. Today, the love story that started with a sandwich, survived the midnight shift, and ended with a flash mob. To know Jeff Cross is to know Kankakee. In fact, Jeff might be the most Kankakee person we've had on the show. He wasn't just born here. He was practically named by the city map.
I lived on Jeffrey Street, and I was born in 68. So in 68, they really pumped people through with epidurals and painkillers hard. So when my mom gave birth to me, they took, cleaned me up or whatever, and they come back, and my mom's all hopped up on the epidural. And they said, what do you want to name your baby? And she thought they said, where do you live? Jeffrey.
You're kidding.
Serious, yeah.
That's how you were named?
That's how I was named, yeah. She's like, good enough. It was the 60s. You're good. It's good enough.
So Jeff from Jeffrey Street grows up. And in 1991, he finds himself at the intersection of sandwiches and cinema in Bourbonnais.
I was working over at Subway, which is still there over in Bourbonnais, and there was a Blockbuster Video where the steakhouse is now. And she came over one evening for dinner, and she walked in, and my eyes were locked in on her. I'm like, Wooga, right? I'm like, and she smiled at me, and her name spelled Jeanna. So I wasn't real familiar how to say it, but I was assuming it was Gina, but I just didn't know. So she gets her sandwiches. She got her and her crew or whatever some sandwiches, and she goes back and she takes off. And I literally, as soon as she walked out the door, I told the people I was working with, I said, I'm going to ask that girl out. They're like, oh, go for it. I know she works at Blockbuster. She's got the whole Blockbuster garb on. She's got her name tag on. So I'm good.
Jeff didn't have Google, but he had the yellow pages.
And I know I called there, and I said Gina. I'm not for sure exactly what I said, but I know I didn't quite pronounce it right. Unsure. I said, is Gina there? And they said, sure, 1 second. Gina picked up the phone, and I said, hey, this is Jeff from Subway. I just made your sandwiches. He goes, yeah. I said, would you be willing to maybe go out, sometime this week? She said, no, I wouldn't.
Jeff hung up. Defeated? No. 5 minutes later, he called back. She said no again. So he tried a third time.
I called her again the third time, and I said, is there any day that you would consider going out with me? And she said, well, if I said yes, would you stop calling me? And really, the rest is history. So yeah, that's how we met.
It worked. They got married on February 22nd, 1992. But the road to 30 years wasn't always a dance party. Real life happens. Kids, jobs, and the dreaded midnight shift.
To say that I was an unnice person working midnight shift is an understatement. I was very, very mean. And we decided that it wasn't the best thing for me to be on Midnights.
They made changes. They made it work. And suddenly it's 2022, the 30th anniversary. Jeff decides that for sticking with him through the midnight shifts and the 30 years, Gina deserves a spectacle.
Your best inspiration comes from scrolling the internet. And I was scrolling YouTube, and I don't know how, but somehow, some way, this flash mob comes on. I watched a couple of them, like, man, that is really fun. I enjoyed watching that and seeing the surprise on people's faces that, you know, they weren't expecting it. I thought, man, let me investigate this. So I did. So I investigated it, and lo and behold, if you Google it, they'll give you an idea. And I was able to find a local company, dance company, basically, that does these flash mobs.
He hired the company. He learned the moves. But he needed a location. Friends suggested the Courthouse lawn because that's where Gina works. But to pull this off, Jeff needed an accomplice on the inside.
My wife is a clerk for a local judge. So I emailed the closest person to my wife that she works closest to, which is her judge. And I said, this is what I'm planning. 1, will you join us? And 2, can you help me, make sure no one throws me in handcuffs when I put 40 people on the courthouse lawn.
The judge was on board, but the logistics were a nightmare. Jeff spent weeks sneaking around downtown Kankakee.
Because at one time, I was literally sneaking around the courthouse lawn like a burglar. So much to where one of the bailiffs, who I know pretty well, we call him Big John, he saw me hiding around the corner when we're trying to do things, and he came out and he said, "You're going to mess around and get yourself shot doing that stuff at the courthouse," he said. And I said, "Oh, that's probably a good idea. Wise thing to tell me." So I stopped sneaking around.
Jeff survived Big John, but the closest call came on the day of the final practice. Jeff and the dancers were on the lawn. Gina was supposed to be at lunch with her best friend, Renee. Jeff texted Renee to warn her, stay away. Renee didn't see the text.
She didn't see the text. I know, right? So we're in the courthouse, and I look and I see my wife's car go by. The courthouse's lawn has lots of trees in it. I'm literally hiding behind a tree. As the car's going by, I'm doing sneaking around the tree so she doesn't see me. And then as soon as they went, I yelled out, "She's here!" And everybody takes off inside the Knights of Columbus. How she didn't see us, I have no idea. Only thing I can attribute that to is Renee, the good friend that she is, distracted her in a way like, look at that eagle or something,
Look at that eagle. The oldest trick in the book. And it worked. Jeff got the Facebook group organized. He sent out the YouTube tutorials, and the moves? They were distinct.
Arms above your head, waving them back and forth, and then a lot of leg kicks. When arms go one way, the legs kick one way. We did that way, and then there was a time where they called it freestyle. It was a fast part of the song, and anybody could do anything they wanted to do. And everyone was doing all kinds of moves, shaking their hips, doing the sprinkler, doing whatever they wanted to do.
Everything was set. But then the week of the anniversary, Gina threw a wrench in the plan. She decided she wanted to take the afternoon off work. Jeff had to improvise.
And I told him the story. I said, I am going to purchase an anniversary cake, a small anniversary cake, and I'll give it to you guys, and I need you to call Gina and say, come back in, we bought you an anniversary cake, and we'll eat it, the last half hour of work, and we'll celebrate with you. So I have this fake cake. Well, it's a real cake, but it doesn't really mean anything. All the people in the courthouse know what's going on.
The fake cake strategy worked. It's 4:30. Gina walks out the back door facing Merchant Street, expecting a cold gray February afternoon. What she got was 50 people, music, and one final romantic gesture from Jeff.
So I decided to go buy or get 30 roses from Bussy and Reek. And I said, I just gave them to all the people. When they showed up, I said, here's one rose. So when we're all done dancing, I want you all, I'm going to have a basket for her to put them in. You know, all, we just give her one rose and wish her happy anniversary, and that'll be the end of it.
What? Why are they looking at me?
The music started. The dancers moved. And Gina realized that her husband had turned the whole town into a stage.
Hey, I know these people.
She walks out, and you could tell, she's like, there's a lot of people out here right now. This is not normal. Usually everyone's leaving. These people seem to be staying. What's going on? And Renee, she was, she played along well. She's like, I don't know what's going on. What do you think? What's happening here? And then they start dancing. It was a slow song, and they were kind of dancing around. And she's, and then Gina is recognizing, hey, that's my daughter. My daughter lives in Indiana. That's my neighbor. What's my neighbor doing here? What? My mother-in-law's here. Why are my cousins here? What's going on?
What are you doing?
Jeff joined the mob for the finale. It was a huge public display for a woman who, admittedly, isn't always comfortable in the spotlight.
Hey!
It was probably something she wasn't expecting, but it probably didn't take her long to figure out, my husband's up to something. And I'm going to have to just ride the storm out here and enjoy it.
She rode the storm out, and Jeff pulled off the surprise of a lifetime.
It was the funnest 8 weeks I had, the most exhausting 8 weeks I had, and I'm glad this only comes every 30 years because it couldn't do it much longer for sure. So,
and if you're planning a surprise at the courthouse, maybe bring a fake cake. And keep an eye out for eagles, just in case.
Thank you!
And I have a mic on you. I planted a mic on you.
Shut up!
Now we want to hear your story. What's a moment that happened right here in Kankakee County that you'll never forget? Send an email to jake@milnermediapartners.com or message me on social media and finish this sentence for me. This one time in Kankakee. Thanks for listening to This One Time in Kankakee from the WVLI Podcast Network. I'm Jake Clamore.